Dearest nerds and gig lovers, I am Kirky, your gig mistress. And honestly, and tonight I have the pleasure of introducing you to musician, artist, overall muse of mine, Mercury from Priest. Hi Mercury, how are you
Hello,
doing?
Kirky.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. I have recovered from Sweden. You're just fresh off tour from America, aren't you?
Yeah, in 1 month back. Yeah, so that's fresh now. The jet lag is over at least. But we came back from America and landed right into the fire of preparing an album release. Our new album is out in a few days, and it's been a lot of preparing and also with doing our, everything you order online from our web shops and everything we do that DIY. So we've been packing and doing and preparing everything so everybody that orders from us will get their stuff soon enough and doing interviews, everything at the same time. So, but nice being on your show, Kirky. And you were at the release party we had the 17th of May.
I really was. No, thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to do it. Especially when we are such a
Yeah.
small little podcast. I really do appreciate it. Yes, I was at the release party. There is the poster for it.
Yeah.
All signed, amazing. There is the album, the vinyl,
Mm,
which I
beautiful.
lovingly brought back on the plane.
Awesome.
It
Awesome.
was it was really, really good, man. What a party you threw.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming over. And we were overwhelmed actually. We thought I actually had my doubts, like will people come down to Linköping, which is not it's one of the bigger cities in Sweden, but it's not very central, you know. It's and the venue itself also was a bit off the city center. So we had our little, and it was a beautiful summer day also. And people in Linköping, they tend to stay outside when it's nice weather because we're not spoiled with it, right? So I was prepared for almost like a fiasco, but it turned out to be really, really good. And people came in and we had our awesome time and everybody was super great and friendly. And we had a best time actually. So thank you for coming over. And you know what? All podcasts, almost at least, are small in the beginning, but they grow, you know?
They get bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully. Well, maybe one day. I'm happy as we are, but
Mm.
honestly, the album release party, I mean, like I said, thank you to you and everybody who made there. They all are on the wall there for making me feel so welcome. I was a stranger in Sweden. It's the first time I've ever really been to Sweden. First time I've been on any planes on my own. It's probably the second time I've
Wow.
flown in my life. Um, it was a really great show, and to hear the album in full from beginning to end and then leave with it was just spectacular. And you know what?
Thank
Because
you.
I met you briefly, would not have picked up on the fact that you were worried about it at all because the confidence and the venue, and it wasn't that far. It was only about 10 minutes from the main station, and
Yeah. But
yeah,
Linköping is like, thank you so much also. And it was also like we wanted everybody to hear the album in full in a really great sound system in there in a great venue. So we had a blast and we're just happy about it. And of course we're professionals. Even if it would be two people there, we would give those two people the best show they ever been to. So we're professionals like that. So we're good actors also.
you are
But
amazing. The stage
thank
show.
you.
Although next time, if you ever see me in the audience, don't stick the microphone in my face, please. I don't
Ah,
sing.
no, but I think in the audience sometimes a little bit, you know.
You do?
But it's like, yeah, it's part of the show sometimes, you know. But next time I will think about that. But also in Linköping, it's like one street with all the pubs and places, restaurants, and that's in the city center, and that's where everybody like sitting down or hanging out, you know, because everybody's very concentrated. So even if you are like a small, a stone throw away from the main street, that people not often doesn't even bother going there, you know. So we were very happy with the turn up. So we're definitely gonna do it again, and we're gonna do it even bigger and better, you know.
Oh, honestly, it was incredible. Like I said, it was incredible from beginning to end. And like you said, Ling Shopping was just the most serene little. It was quite serene and very. It wasn't. It's not a little
Thank
town.
you.
It's a big city. And that, like you said, that I ended up in that square because I went out drinking after the after show party, and
Yeah,
I made. I had it was interesting to see how like everything was just there next to the cathedral, and oh, the
yeah.
architecture, unbelievable.
It's
But
it's a beautiful city. I love Linköping. So I'm very happy to actually move back. I've lived in Stockholm area for 12 years, and now finally I moved back to Linköping area. I live outside, of course, Linköping, but it's nice to be back on your home turf again, you know.
and
So that's
around those people that are around you, that you like, probably because obviously I think you were from Ling Shopping originally, weren't you? To be around
yeah, of
all your
course.
friends and family. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
so that
God.
it's really nice to and meet a lot of old friends again, and you know, touch base with people you haven't talked to for a while. It's always great. So it's nice. We're gonna do more shows in Linköping, uh, I'm sure,
This this is
very
going to
soon.
cost me a fortune in airfare.
Well, I mean, if your podcast gets bigger, you know, then maybe that's a business trip, you know.
Come on, people, because like I need more. I need to do this more. I mean,
You're on Patreon or something?
no, maybe I should.
Yeah, start a
Um,
Patreon, or we can, yeah. So
I
do
mean, I'm
it.
part of something called Nerdy Up North, so this actually airs on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, and
Mm.
we talk about the priority of this is not just the music; it's all the art side, the nerdy side of it, the influences, the whole kind of thing.
Mm.
Hence why,
I love
I
it.
mean, I've got this piece here, right,
That's a beauty. That's a beauty.
and I know what this is from, and loads of people won't, because in Ling Shopping, you've just been mentioned, there's a statue
Yeah.
of a monk on a horse, and this
Yeah.
is
You know
Snep's.
what that monk is famous for?
No, I don't. Tell me.
His name is Folke Filbyter, and he got his name because Fil is Old Swedish for föl, which is the kid of a horse, and
Right.
byter is a biter. So he is actually famous for now. Maybe trespassing the rules on this podcast, but he's famous for this is historic facts. He's famous for castrating horses with his teeth.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent.
So
What?
that's the famous that's the Statue of Liberty of Linköping, the monk on the horse there. Exactly.
Which I never knew, but it's quite funny and quite amusing. But yeah, it's incredible. This drawing, I don't know how well you can see it, right? I'm
Yeah,
going to
I see
point
it
out
perfectly from my end.
this is go on.
Oh, and you see also the cathedral there, the
Yeah.
famous landmark of Linköping right there as well.
I was stood very drunk outside of that going, what level of architecture is that? Because it's beautiful. And then I was like, oh my God, the sun's coming up and it's only 3 o'clock in the morning. What is
Oh
going on?
yeah, yeah, that's that too. I always get anxiety when I'm up too late and I see the sun go up, and you know, you have to go to bed. But no, yeah, you know, comes with the
I,
territory.
I didn't go to
It's
bed. That was
even
brilliant.
worse up north in Sweden. So it's that then the sun doesn't even go down, you know. That's a bit annoying. Can be.
Or vice versa, doesn't ever come up.
Of course, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I lived for 1 year in northern Sweden where it was like that, but I felt like uh, it was not my thing, you know.
No, I wouldn't like that. Not at all. I would be too isolated.
I
I
don't want to
like
be suicidal, you know.
just depressed. I get gloomy winter in sort of Newcastle, rain and wind and just too much. And then I'm like, no, I need some sunshine and some beach. I mean, that's what I did after the after show party. I walked into Linköping city centre, and
Mm.
I laid on some grass just outside the train station. And I just laid there in the public next to some trees for a little bit. And I'm sure everybody
Oh.
just thought, who's
I
that weirdo?
saw, yeah, you have a good rest, a little power nap.
a little power nap. But I want to point this out because I'm going to go into the imagery of your band in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Because I found you in Newcastle, but we'll come to that. This poster is designed by SNEP, who is OH.SNEP on Instagram.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Oh yes, I have.
She did that one, your T-shirt too, you know?
Yes, and Blacklisted.
Yeah, the picture you actually see of me there is made by her as well, and she's been working with us. Oh, sorry, I went the events ahead here. It was a question about
Doesn't
SNEP.
matter. Yeah.
Oh
SNEP.
no, she was actually the first thing she did for us was the digital single cover for a signal in the noise, which we released, if I remember right, in November 2021, right after the first in Sweden. Corona was everywhere, but we had we released, we could do shows again for a few weeks back in October, November back in 2021. Then it locked down again, and then we could continue doing in 2022. So she was actually in Linköping for one show we did there in October 2021, and then we decided she was doing the cover, and then she did for Blacklisted and a few other singles for the last album Body Machine, and also started to do T-shirt designs. And she's really great to work with and very meticulous, like and she's great. Yeah, she's a great sense of imagery, and we're gonna continue working with her.
Good, because I'm a big fan of her work.
She always does a really good job, and she doesn't deliver until you're satisfied, so it's perfect.
I did that embarrassing thing that you do when you're a fan of somebody, and I know she was at the show, and I was like, oh, it's you. It's you. Which is really, really cool, because you use a lot of different artists, which I want to jump back to in a minute, because you were saying about obviously playing. I was saying how I found you. Now, prior to coming to the show in the shopping, I found you in Newcastle, which was actually a shock, because I hadn't heard about you guys at all. Bearing in mind, I listened to a huge range of music. I hadn't heard about you guys. I got tipped off on the morning of the show by somebody in a coffee shop in Whitley Bay.
Oh,
that's how I found out.
Thank you to that person.
Yes, and I came to the Newcastle show, and I had no idea. I had no idea what your imagery looked like. I had no idea your sound. I had just no concept. And then you bounced out on the stage looking like Locutus of Borg had stolen the Lament configuration, and I was like, holy, what is this? Like, and the music was the music was just phenomenal. Unbelievably different just to a lot of the things that I've seen and heard out there.
Thank you. I wish I could change with you and see us for the first time like that myself, but but thank you. I really appreciate it. That story makes me very happy. So thank you.
It's strange that I hadn't. It was almost like it was meant to be that first sort of like, oh my word. I mean, I talk about you guys a lot. I reference you quite a lot in some of the other podcasts as well, because of things that you've done. But your image, your specific image, you have a lot of sort of alchemic ties.
Yep.
A lot of Norse mythology, a little bit in there.
There might be, yes, yeah, there is, yeah, of course.
There might be, and sort of the whole tree prima. How is it important that it's so subversive? Because it is. When you listen to your music in certain senses, it's not as you expect. The second you bounced out on the stage with the music, it wasn't exactly what my brain was expecting to put to it.
That's
how
good.
Important is that?
I think it is. I get the same experience once when I was I played in another band called Ghost once, but before I started to play there, I heard the music, some of the demos or whatever. I heard the first album before I saw even a photograph of the band, because I think they did the press photos like a bit after or something. I don't really remember. And then when I first saw the photograph of that band, because in my mind it sounded like middle-aged guys in their slippers and morning gowns or whatever, doing some satanic pop music, basically. And then I saw the first press image, and I think then I had then you get the clash. How do you mix that together? And I think I was inspired by that myself a little bit. So I just took it to another genre, you can say, like synth pop, synth wave, call it whatever you want. So
Incomparable, in my opinion.
except music-wise, of course, except for maybe some tracks are quite melody driven, which also resembles some tracks of the other band. But image-wise, just that you mentioned right there, I think that was a little inspiration, because I was a bit thrilled about that. And you can only get that experience once with a band. You can't get it twice and more. It's the first feeling, first experience that you're gonna remember, right? So I thought it was really effective, so I wanted to do that again, because when you start a new band, then you can do it one more time. So, and if you're new to it and you got that experience, I can't ask for more. That's great. I love to feel that myself. So I'm glad you did too.
Unbelievably blown away. And the irony of it is, obviously, the Trey Primer, all the Alchemist stuff, I had this really gauche gold jacket on. It's like a black jacket with gold fringes on. And I walked in, I was like, huh, gold.
Oh.
And getting the whole alchemy side of it, which is stuff that I particularly love. And I know a lot of the nerds on Nerdy Up North, are very interested in all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To see that tie in, and then to have this banging 80s kind of dark, gothy, almost then some really 80s poppy kind of, I can't even describe your style. It's unreal.
Yeah.
It is unreal, and very much
we
my
wander about between styles. We have different styles. It's not one style. It's we have a strong gimmick. We have a strong imagery going, and then we can take detours to other genres so, and it doesn't feel too out of place. If you go synth poppy, sometimes we had a rule not to make songs in a major scale at some point, but then there's even some songs in major scale now.
I was going to say,
and we can do darker stuff, but the glue is the image, of the band. That's the glue. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, now the trick is, and I will always say this, my podcast, just talk over us, because I will talk for England, especially if I've had a gin or two. Just talk over us, it's absolutely fine. But this is it. This is the image versus what you are not afraid. You are not afraid, and that is something that I think everybody who starts to find and see, particularly because in the UK, while you have quite a big following, you could have so much more, and you could be so much more, because you aren't afraid, and you aren't afraid to mix those styles and bring that out. And I want to touch on that a bit later on in the album. Obviously, you've mentioned, obviously, your image is quite strong, and that you use a lot of that, and this plays quite well into your merchandise and stuff. Something I really want to bring up, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, is the Indiegogo campaign that you did for the new album, Darkpulse.
Yes.
In that campaign, go on. Sorry.
No. We finish the question, so then I ramble.
We made a good team. In that campaign, you auctioned and put up some things that you would expect: t-shirts, merchandise. Obviously this I got in Sweden, but I've had some things ordered from the Indiegogo campaign. You put up some artwork and some things that were really personal to the band. I think it was an original, because obviously there's different versions of Mercury. A Mercury 1 mask was on there for sale, and
Yeah.
the handwritten notes. How does it feel to part with some of this stuff and then to create art for that? Because you are an artist as well. How does it feel to do that and part with that stuff and create it?
It was, I mean, I'm gonna send out the Mercury mask this week, actually. So I'm writing, because it came with a letter and I haven't written that letter yet. So, but now I know what to write. So I'm gonna write that down and put it in a box. And also we're gonna package it really good with a trackable and, insured package. So, so it comes to the buyer in a good condition, and if it gets lost, it's gonna be insured, and everything like that, because it was a pretty expensive piece of yeah, everything is relative, but for us expensive. It paid a lot of money for it, so the person that bought it. So it feels a little bit sad, but at the same time it's made of leather, so it needs a better uh, I'm not at home all the time, so I can take care of it, because leather dries up. Somebody has to take care of the mask. And if it comes into the hands of a person that really wants it and takes care of it, then it's in better hands. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Um, of the artist stuff, it's like more. I got a good reason of picking up, my the brush and paper again. So I'm happy about that. I noticed I still got the chops. So I'm I'm happy about that, and I think it was around 60 drawings or something I've done, and now almost I think I have 2 left to do. I think I've sent everyone else their drawings now, so it was a good exercise, you can say. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it again, because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work when you already work so hard as you do.
Yeah, but it was also when we created the Indiegogo campaign, we were pretty like, we didn't know that it turned out great. It was a great outcome. We can finance everything and had a lot of money over to do what we're supposed to do, PR, which we also. So I think today we spent everything we earned, but on very good stuff, exactly what we said we're gonna spend the money on, and it definitely helps us a lot, because yeah, but in the beginning, before you start a campaign like that, you don't know how well it's gonna go, right? So then you throw in stuff there to make it to make people want to buy it. So we throw in the mask, we throw in the handmade stuff, and all that kind of stuff, just because we don't know. We didn't know. Now we know better, maybe after this campaign, but it's it's been interesting. But as you said, it's a lot of work, and it's been a lot of work concentrated to a small amount of time, and also parallel with a US tour, and parallel with having a pre-order before that, the Deep Red bundle, which we launched in November in order to finance a music video and the last of the production of the record, because it been dragging out of time, and we had to pay the producer, and so we launched a campaign there, but that was also sent out earlier this month. So we had 150 packages that we had to take care of directly after the US store. And now, yesterday, we started to ship out the Indiegogo campaign, and that will take like 3 more weeks before we're done with that, because it's a couple of hundred of packages. So we got stuff to do. We're not on the couch rolling our thumbs, at least. But it's a good thing to have a lot to do, because that means something's happening.
Well, this is it. you are one of the hardest working bands. I mean, I've seen a lot of hard working bands, but you are one of the hardest working bands I've ever seen. And I'm not just
Thank
saying
you.
that.
We have to, otherwise
Yeah.
we will perish, you know. I mean, we don't have the pull of a major label, and it's also a little. We noticed that we get shut down often here in Sweden, at least, because people are, you know, in favor of another band, and some people doesn't dare to, you know, interview us, or it's a bit of a, you know, separation. And we've been also like denied to be signed because of emotional reasons, we heard, and stuff like that. So it's we had to early on decide that we have to do this ourselves, basically. And but when we say ourselves, that's for us. Then we have you guys, you and other fantastic people that following and supporting us. And without you guys, we would be nothing, you know. So we're very happy. You're so important to us, and we couldn't be. Uh, it's hard to even express our how grateful we are, you know. So it means a lot to us that to have you guys, and that you believe in us, and uh, that's keeping us alive and growing. So, and we feel like we've been through some really hard times in the band, but now it feels like it's starting to get brighter again, and the hope for the future is stronger now than it even was in the beginning when we started the band, like back in 2015, 16, you know. So it's a really good feeling, and we hard work pays off, you know. So we just continue doing it. But after that, after these 3 weeks, we definitely gonna take like a couple of days off at least, you know.
Yeah, please do. You
I
please do. I mean, you
will,
mentioned your fan base. I mean,
of course.
as an experience, sort of, the Indiegogo campaign was, I'm a part of your Discord, so I will bring this in, and a big shout out to
Oh
everybody in the
yeah,
Discord, because the Discord is unreal. The people on it, you are amazing. Some of you are absolutely filthy, but
great.
they are so great. Um, the Indiegogo campaign was literally just, we were like, who's bought this? What's this? Look at this.
Oh
And
yeah,
it was just driven, and you get to see all these fans that absolutely adore your
yeah,
band and what you do and the music and the passion for it. And it's almost like a community that
amazing.
you've built unwittingly with where people are starting to encourage other people to draw again and be artists and listen to different bands and share their loves. And it's a friendship as well. I traveled to a different country and
Yeah,
was looked after
amazing.
by other people who I met on the Discord, Brenna, Linda,
Yeah.
Snep, and Memrin, who I kept calling Mermin when I was drunk. um
Moment.
Mermin. But
Yeah,
that community was there straight away because of the Discord and because of
amazing.
your fan base. How cool's that?
That's awesome. I've heard a lot about the Discord. I think, been sneaking in like two or three times during since it started, but I choose not to be in there because uh, I don't want to be. You know, I've seen other Discords like when the artist is in there, and for everything a fan, you know, writes, then the artist is there with two comments directly, and I think that can be hurting, you know, a community like that. So I choose not to be in there, but I hear a lot of great stuff about it, and that's fantastic because some other bands Discords are like dead, you know, because they're
Mm.
managed wrong, you know, or something's not working there, or maybe it's no interest. But what I heard from the priest Discord, which everybody is allowed to join, we have a link to it from our website also. Yeah,
There'll
check
be
it
one at the
out
bottom of
down
here.
there,
Check it
right
out.
there. Yeah.
I'm just
Uh,
going to ask you unpolitely, please don't check in. Like, I don't hold back on there. I'm being very
no,
polite tonight. So
no,
please,
I
please.
won't. I won't. You know. And but if I do, it would be if I had something to say. You know, a announcement or something like that. I'm not going. I'm not sneaking in there. You know, I'm not a peeping tom.
I'm just going to have a look and see which picture has been posted
No,
today.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have to be on some social media like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But actually, we had a talk today. So there might be somebody taking over that chunk now soon, so we can focus more on making music and do that stuff. Then we take care of the more important parts of that, of course. But just to answer some questions about when is the CD out, or if I have my order shipped yet, or all that questions, which are valid questions, and I understand them. It's just like now I have to sit and answer all that. So it's
And you don't want to do that
that's
anymore
fine.
because
That's fine. But it's when you have thousand other things to think about, it's like, okay, this is another. I go up in the morning, have my coffee, and then it's on till I go to bed, basically. Or like I try to watch a movie at night also. But it's a full-time job, even if you're home, it's just never ends. So it eventually you gotta have more people working with you, in order to get some time. So
I mean, it's not just that. You did the previous year, you did 116 shows touring,
yeah, yeah, mental.
and we're writing an album
Yeah,
and
recording it
promoting,
and mix
recording.
it. Yeah. It was not I don't recommend that to anybody, don't do that. It's I think I have a high stress level, and but when you do that, it's like, well, sometimes you just feel like I'm gonna just lie down and like give up everything, sometimes.
Please
But
don't.
that's only temporary, and it's only a sign of stress, that you just feel that you wanna, But at the same time, you have fun, and it's important. You meet a lot of great people, and you doing creative stuff. But it's we will try to portion it out a little better in the future. We learned a lot. So uh but with that said, we never stop, we never give up. We will continue till we drop. So we that's our mentality. So we nothing can stop us, really. So that was another challenge, and we're on the other side now, and reap the fruits of our labor. So that's great.
I mean, so you should.
Thank you.
What I've seen. I mean, I'm fairly, like I said, there's fans on Discord that have been there since the beginning. I'm fairly new. I'm a baby. I'm a baby Priest fan.
Thank you.
And, but the whole thing is when you realize just how much, and this is one of the reasons I desperately wanted you on my podcast. One of the things that you do, and is not just how hard you work. It's you do so much creative input as well. You don't just get in artists and stuff. You direct your own videos, quite a few of them. You work with other directors, which we'll come
Yep.
to, but you've directed a significant portion of your own videos.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a cross. I did Signal in the Noise, and I directed Black Venom that came out uh last month. Yeah.
Yeah, last month, which is great.
And yeah,
Dead Ringer.
actually I did it on the go. We were actually in Leipzig in Germany, and outside a place called Hellraiser, and I bet there's like 1,000 bands that seen the same thing I saw that day. It was like dilapidated, big ass, old industrial structures. Like and it was several of them, the big ass. So I was like, and it was 4 in the afternoon. We were about to sound check about 5 or something. And I just went in there like to check it out. And I had my video camera with me. It's my handycam. And started filming. And then I realized, damn, we have to make something here. So I just got the other guys like, come on, I put on the mask. Can you film when I do this? And then we just shot the video inside there and found the right locations in there. So we probably filmed it in 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. And
No.
yeah, but then back home I edited the material and it was good as it was, but I thought like, well, let's put some computer effects on it. So I called my one of my good friends and said, I'm sending you a file right now. Can you rape it for me? Which he did. And then that was the video of Black Venom. And I love it. It's one of the best videos, you know.
It's great.
Yeah, so and now on Friday there's gonna be another video out by director Claudio Marino.
Yes.
And the video for a song called Demon's Call. And I'm very excited about that. It's not the final cut yet, but we working with the last changes, and he's gonna finish the video tomorrow. So the editing. So I'm very excited about that too.
I'm very
And
excited about that one. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting.
it's
Sorry, I
gonna
didn't
be
mean to cut you off.
no. It's gonna be cool. Gonna be really cool. No, but I like to have a part in every aspect of what it means to do music and to have a record label or whatever. You know, I'm pretty much into every detail of everything. And some people find that I worked with before have found that annoying. But I can't. I must have it that way. I must have a saying. If I have something to say, I have to say it and be able to, because it's the project that it's the band that's gonna be, you know, everybody's gonna look. It's us that's gonna be the responsible. You know, people we work with, yes, also, but everybody looks at how we look, and if I feel that we are not presented in a certain way that I feel comfortable with, I have to address it.
Yes.
And then it's up to the other person to take it like seriously or ignore it. And if that person ignores it, then we probably won't work together again, you know. And then I probably will take whatever is done and redo it myself and then launch it, which I've done at some points, you know. But it's a matter of listening and have a mutual respect, I think. And I mean, you can't come into a project and think that you can decide over the band, you know. It doesn't work that way. So especially if you the creator of the project and have a vision. So that's it can be, some people probably find me difficult, but if everybody have an open mind, then we have the best of relationships, which I have with for example, Claudio or other people that we have long-term working relationships with, like our producer Simon and some other people that we have a mutual respect for each other, and then it works. If it's not a mutual respect, then it of course won't work. Of course.
That's important though. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. This is one of the things that sort of I've learned, throughout the years of working in the music industry myself as a live music photographer and that.
Mhm.
Put your foot down.
Yeah.
Don't just let it slide. If it's not going to work for you, if that's not going to be right, don't just, go, oh, okay, I better just do it because this person's involved. This is your baby, this is your project. You work
Of
so
course.
hard to keep this on the tracks.
Yeah, nobody else works that hard. They come in and do a job, and we're very grateful. And it's about also now, but we learn, you know, during the years. Now we have to, yeah, it's important who you work with and to find the right people and to find great working. And if something works, the best would be to have a long-term working relationship with people that you trust. And we've noticed that more and more now that we have uh, people that we work with that are that great and we have a great relationship. So why change then? Why
Yes.
take a risk, you know? Then we stick with each other, you know. So it's a great feeling to have right now, and it's getting better and better right now. So it's really, it's a nice place to be in, and I'm very excited about the future. We have some new collaborations coming up, which I'm very excited about, but that's top secret now because it's concerning the next incarnation of priest, you know. So it's like, but it's top. We please have me back on the show when I can talk more about that.
You can come back on my show anytime. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I would love to dig about that, because that whole concept side of it as well. One of the things that I am going to touch on, and I'm going to put a warning out now before I say this, because I forgot to do it at the beginning because I stuffed up my intro. Some of the topics we're going to be going through, we're going to be a little bit more adult. You working with Claudio Marino,
Mm.
you mentioned that strong relationship. You know, I am from an art background. I think you have to have a connection and a strong relationship with somebody if you are going to push the boundaries of what
Yeah.
you put out there. And again, if you don't want to mention this, please say. But the original Obey video, there was a normal video, and then there was
Yeah.
an uncut version, which
Yep.
I didn't that start an art movement that Claudio Moreno moved on with.
I think it did actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Um,
too I'm not too well informed about that because it's really not my own personal involvement was not very hands-on there. It was a lot of other stuff to think about during that period
yes.
for me. But it's certainly created something. Yeah, sure.
It did, yeah. And obviously working again with Claudio, um,
Yeah.
who I need to apologize to Claudio for being very, very drunk and running up to you and going, "You're Claudio Moreno, lovely to meet you," and then just walking off and not
Oh,
explaining this whole situation. So my apologies, Claudio. Um,
oh. I'm sure he took it very well. You know?
some drunk blonde walking up to him going, "Oh, you're such and such." Um, that the new video, obviously we can't. I can't. You know, obviously don't want any spoilers in that. I'm very excited for it because this track is really great, and it's one of the
Thank you.
ones on the album that I really love. When you're directing, because obviously you've mentioned your relationship, what I want to know as Nerd Up North is where your passions lie to draw that influence from it, because we've sort of there's this image going on. There's a very hellraiser kind of thing. You had a
Yep.
Mercury 2, I do believe, which was a little bit robocop, if you you know, obviously
Yep.
my genre. Tell me a
Mm.
little bit about more about that, because I want to dig into this side of it, the nerdy side of it, not just the music.
Yeah. First incarnation was a we didn't really know. We know the project, the band was gonna be called Priest, and we knew we wanted masks of some sort. So it was basically a matter of like deciding what kind of masks it should be. So we really went through all the Venetian styles, everything we could come up with, but noticed this was like territory that many other already been in, and I was a bit frustrated because I was like, what should we wear? You know? But after a while, I started to get into the BDSM, you know, erotic, you know, sites there that you could see a lot of leather stuff. And then I felt like, yeah, this is gonna be cool because we can have regular costumes like suit and tie, you know, because I love Eraserhead. You know, it's a monster in Eraserhead by David Lynch that has like a lizard head coming up from a regular suit. You know, like so I wanted that kind of feeling. And then when I suddenly I saw the Hellraiser mask, I think it was actually called Hellraiser or something on Leatherotics. It was a British store called Leatherotics or something.
Figures.
And I saw that, but that mask was too expensive. It was like super expensive, and we didn't have that money. So I bought a regular GIMP mask, basically. And I started to do a pattern where the spikes would be, and I cut them out, and I modified it, and I made it what it was. That was the Mercury 1 mask. And then we had to decide on what the I was playing synth in the beginning, so what I and the other guy should wear. And we found a bird mask, and that was like, yeah, that we go for that. But what should the third guy wear? We didn't decide on two birds at that time. So you want a pig mask or you want a dog mask, you know? But
It's gonna be a
then we
puppy.
decided then we decided like, yeah, no, two birds is that's a good look, you know. And then the Norse mythology that you spoke of also came in, like, okay, Hugin and Munin, the two ravens, and then Odin. But in the start, we only were guys with masks, so there wasn't any, you know, like the red eye or the robot thing wasn't there, you know. But I came up with that when I was alone in the studio in Stockholm. I don't know if I can say it, but I rolled up something that you can smoke. I don't say what it was. I won't say
Nutmeg.
what
It's all right.
that was. Okay. And in the haze of that, in middle of the night, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning, I started to come to me like, ah, yeah, we're robots. Because we love Kraftwerk, we love Daft Punk. If they can be robots, why can't we also be robots? And then I love Terminator. Then like all that kind of stuff fell into place, you know, just that night. So then next day I got it. I got the missing part here. We're robots. It's gonna be a red eye, you know. And then the Norse mythology was better also with the red eye and the two ravens. And then everything seemed, and we also the direction, cyberpunk and stuff like that. It was like something I consumed a lot when I was younger also. So it was like diving back into memory lane and just pick up all the stuff and that you loved and also explore new parts of it. So it fell into place really good right there. And then I felt like, okay, this is solid now. Now we can launch this now, you know, because it's a long process when you do a band, a concept band. It's not like, okay, let's do it. Okay, maybe some people can, you know, just do it in a week. And then if you have a regular rock band, you can basically, okay, let's start a band. And then you're starting to rehearse, and then you can have a concert next Friday if you want. But with this, it's a long preparation time. It took like 2 years before 1.5 to 2 years before we even, you know, released anything. We had to like make sure everything sounded and looked right before. So
But it
but I'm
works.
happy we did.
Yeah. Yeah, it works. It works. It looks good. And you know, for somebody like myself, who is an out and out geek, you know, and I love all that. I love Hellraiser, I love Terminator, I love like RoboCop,
Me
all the
too.
80s sci-fi, yeah. And that, like I said, the whole, I mean, the Locutus of Borg kind of thing with the Borg likeness,
Yeah,
the
the Borg
robot.
guy, yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Picard. What's it called? The double show with Picard when he's destroying Starfleet as a Borg captain.
Best of
In
both worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
Shut up, are you a Trekkie? Have I got a
You are too.
Trekkie on
I know
my
that.
show? No way.
Yeah, of course, the Borg is awesome and cool, and that's also, of course, you can't get away from that. That's yeah,
And then there's
yeah,
the bit
you can't get away from.
T800y, yeah, with the sort of the red eye, the bit T800y, and also like just to touch on Nightcrawler, you know, like the video is a little bit future world, you know, it's got that kind of
Yeah,
that whole kind of like future retroism style through it, and you have like these sci-fi like themes. Even like Black Venom had this very sort of like 80s kind of 70s even
yeah,
sci-fi kind of, you like you said, with the brutalist architecture in Germany and things like that. You It just
yeah,
has this continuous vibe, which
yeah.
is
We're trying to find the right things that and also that goes in line, and I think also we have a responsibility to our fans that we provide some context that you can see that we know where we come from, that we're not just doing this on the you know, on the sometimes we do it on the go, but it shouldn't feel like that. It should be like a when you come into the world of priest, you should get what you expect, because that's what we do. That's what we are about. Sometimes we can surprise a little, but on the whole, it should feel like you step into an 80s sci-fi / horror movie, maybe.
A little bit. Yeah,
So
it's
that's
there.
what we're trying to do, and I think that's, as long as we do that, it's gonna work out fine. But I'm also dying to use newer technology and everything. But you spoke about future world. We also, of course, as you know, the first cover we did for our first album, New Flesh, it's actually that's the cover of Future World, but we flipped, so you saw the backside of the head of Mercury instead of seeing it taken off the face from the front, you know.
Mhm.
So it's exactly, you know exactly what you're talking about.
It's that whole nerdum. There is that whole
Yep.
nerdy thing. So one of the things I wanted to discuss here, because we're talking about being a nerd and we're talking about all the nerdy stuff, right? And you've
Mhm.
mentioned this in a couple of interviews, and I I'm a bit of a geek about this myself, not massively, so don't, go easy on us. Um, you mentioned classical music a lot. So you've mentioned the nerdy things, the nerdy influences, you've
Yeah,
mentioned, all the 80s stuff. But what about the classical music?
I listen a lot, but to really say how deep and nerdy I am about it, I'm not keeping track of the movements or the like broad strokes, because I don't read exactly what I'm listening to. For example, I have a box set with Bach, like 50 CDs, you know. And sometimes I want the flute sonatas, or sometimes I want the organ works. Sometimes I want the Christmas oratory, you know. So it stretches. Sometimes I want with singing, or sometimes I just want the mellow organ, you know, in which is I just find that more appealing than most other music, you know. It's made, it's it's old, so you feel a bit alienated at first listening to it, but I feel like the melody work and
Yeah.
progressions, yeah, it's like you don't get that when you if you listen to industrial, you know, so much, you know. And I tend to not listen to contemporary music from the genre we're put in. Actually, some people say, "Oh, have you heard a new Health album or whatever?" I said, "No, I haven't." No disrespect, but I'm just not listening to it, because I think if I started to listen too much from on stuff, music, fantastic music, I guess, in the same genre that you're working in, then you're gonna start to sound generic, you know, at some point. And I think maybe, and in the worst case, it's gonna be perverted, you know. It's like it's gonna be like layer on layer of the same thing, you know, same subject, same how it sounds like. I mean, I think we listened to Pretty Hate Machine with Nine Inch Nails right yesterday. I mean, that's a perfect industrial album, and I don't think it's like that's made came out 89, I think. Yeah. So it's, I mean, do you want to sound like that? You know, maybe not. No, no, and we have deliberately going back to the 80s to actually replicate sounds and use old synthesizers. So I'm talking a little paradoxical here, but
Fine.
but I think it's important to have something else into the blend. And I think everything you listen to, that will stick with you. And if you listen to stuff that you don't uh, really super like, you know, hard to describe it. If I listen a lot to Bach, for example, I hope that something rubs off on me. But with that said, I'm not comparing myself by far. I'm not, you know, even close. I'm an ant uh, compared to that guy. But of course, but some things actually rubs off, because it's you cultivating your taste. And in the studio, when you make a decision, maybe you will make a decision that's closer to maybe what he did than to what maybe contemporary other artists would do that you listen to in the same genre. And I'm more interested in creating something, have something in the blend that stands out a little bit and are not like everything else, you know. So that's also one of the reasons I go back and listen to old classical music, but then you really start to like it. So then when you go back and you want to listen to other stuff, it's like you're getting spoiled with how good actually the compositions are, you know. So then you rather go back and listen more to classical music and other composers maybe. So and I like that. It's nice. I don't have to. I know how to make a industrial beat. I don't know. Nobody else have to teach me that. I can do it myself. So it's like, and I know how to do a bass line, an EBM bass line, because I've listened to Nicer Ebb too super much and
You
Frontman
know how to
December.
do a bass line full stop, and you know it.
Yeah, so I don't have to learn that. You know, I already have that knowledge. You know, so it's more interesting to go back and see how can I mix my knowledge and my interests with something maybe more classical. And that's also a dream I have, to maybe do an album that are more in classical style or something, but I'm not there yet. But it's nice to have. And sometimes when I sit at the piano and write a song, I tend to go to the chords that I've heard in classical music and like, yeah, this is sounding good. And I'm not like feel trapped in like it has to be in a certain way. I can go more. I can let the chords lead me somewhere instead of like, okay, I have a 2-chord structure. I can do a song with one bass line, one chord, which Burning Love on darkpulse is only one chord. We released a single called Just a Game. That's one chord, their whole song. It's fun to do that too, but sometimes it's fun to like let it wander off a little bit. And I think Johann Sebastian Bach is one of the absolute best, and certainly one of the most productive composers that ever existed.
I think it's interesting that you say that and how you compare, because that it's almost like keeping yourself open. And like I said before, you're not afraid. You're not afraid to mix these influences. It doesn't have to just fit into one genre.
No, it has to be fun for yourself, you know. I have to have fun. I will not have fun if I try to sound like Nine Inch Nails. I mean, that's not fun. Then it's like, okay, what I'm doing here, try to copy some a fantastic band, of course, for sure. You know, Trent Reznor. I mean, geez, but he's already doing it, so why should I also try to do that? You know,
Which is where your band falls into a lot of places that I think something that I have noticed when I'm trying to explain your band to somebody. It's trying to put it into a genre, trying to put it into a pocket. We can call it synthwave, and that is fine because that is one pocket. But what you write is far more in depth. I mean, I have a background in classical. I learned violin from a very small age. I can't play now. I honestly let it slide.
I think if you pick it up and play it for a while, everything will come back. I played clarinet when I was a kid. I can't play now as a thing, but if I pick up a clarinet, it comes back, you know. It comes back. What you learn in that age would always stick with you in your backbone, you know.
Well, it leans onto other instruments as well, and what you do in your music. It's really audible, kind of. It's really to me, whether it is to everybody else, I can hear it, you know. Sort of the new album. I'm privy to this. Obviously, I got it in Sweden, and I've got it on vinyl, and I've got it on the red splatter vinyl, which is just, oh my
Awesome.
God, it's just gorgeous.
You're gonna be rich. You're gonna be rich because you have all the editions, and they're gonna be worth so much, you know. But that's not why you have them. Hopefully,
They'll be prized out of my cold, dead hands because they are signed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this new album, sort of listening to it, and you know, some of the things you've mentioned. I mean, I can hear a little bit of classical, and there's a few bits that kind of click with us, but also there's a few bits that kind of. I'm a bass player myself, so I play bass very badly, but I play bass. And listening to this album and hearing some of the bass lines that you've put into it and some of the beats and some of what you have built into it, it's phenomenal.
Thank you so
It's
much.
it's
I
phenomenal.
can't take all the honor myself. Also, baseline, yes, I take all the honor, but that we also have a really great producer, Simon Söderberg,
Yes.
and he is a great producer to work with. He thinks outside of the box, and maybe if I want a four on the floor beat, he can take the production somewhere else and listen to this. How do you feel about that? And then I feel like, okay. But then I listen and then, okay, this is interesting. Then let's go there, you know. And so it's a good collaboration there. And thank you so much and for noticing also. I put a lot of work into the bass lines, and I think I've done some of my best bass lines is on Dark Pulse for sure.
I am going to have to be a significant. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the best. I'm going to have to get a significantly better bass player in order to jam along to this one. It's got some stonkers. And one of the
Thank
things
you.
I really like about it, while I'm on the bass track, before I go off on a massive tangent, the bass lines in it, there's a very healthy mixture between sort of synth bass, where it's written, it sounds very synthy, and I think you use like a synth bass.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's also this very organic bass sound with some of them.
Mm.
And I don't want to spoiler the track list, even though it's sort of out. It's not out yet, so I'm not going to spoiler it.
It's out, so the track list is fine. You know, it's
Ah, like Your Devil. Oh my
yeah.
God.
That's a
Yeah.
good program that bass line. I think Simon after when we were finishing up the record, he said, "Yeah, we did this bass line very well," and he said it in we, but I know I programmed that one myself, so it's because I have the original file, project on my computer, and I know I really it doesn't matter. It's a great bass line, and
Unreal.
I'm proud of that one. Yeah.
And Dungeon Dance as well, which I might, I don't know.
That's a collab between me and Simon. I had an original bass line, but then he chose to cut it up a little bit and not make it the same all over all the time. So he went for more like a cut up approach on that
Mhm.
bass line. It works really good.
It's really chunky and it's really kind of evocative of kind of, and I apologize if I pull any of these bands out and you go, don't compare me to that. Very,
You can
very
compare me. I mean, of course you can compare. It's all over the place. We have a lot of, I mean, reference points here. So if you hear Depeche, it's Depeche, or Nights or Ebb, it's Nights or Ebb. It's in there. Front to foot.
Chemical Brothers. How much Chemical Brothers, and that there's this thing where like I heard some of the tracks from it and I was like, yeah, now I'm on a Chemical Brothers binge. There's some really cool little snippets and there's a bit of like
Yeah,
bit of Utah Saints in there as well with the samples and
yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I think Chemical Brothers, it's in its they're still going strong. I think they've been through so many genres themselves. So, but of course, they're most famous for the big beat movement in the 90s. And that's also where I think they did their best work with the two first records. The third record too, but then it was always overdone with the break with the big beats. So it's big beat. But I still think Setting Sun and Block Rockin' Beats are like, yeah, I mean, how
yeah,
good can you get?
this
Uh,
all feeds into this. I can hear it, and the same with the Prodigy.
yeah,
There's
of course, Prodigy. Uh, yeah, I saw them live back in '97. It was fantastic. It was
97.
yeah, I was 14
Yes,
or 13,
yes.
14. Yeah,
Uh,
that was amazing. I don't think anything can top that ever because you're young and you're seeing your favorite band and it's a really great concert and it's right before they launch Fat of the Land.
oh my
So
God.
So it was like, okay. And with that said, the same day I saw Rage Against the Machine and Rammstein
Oh my God.
and Wu-Tang Clan with all the members. So I was, after that day, I was like, nothing can top that day, basically. It was like maybe Kraftwerk in 2004. That was the one of the concepts that came close, at least. But no, but Prodigy, of course. I think that big beat will be back in style. In 2 years, you will hear big beat everywhere. Because now it's like drum and bass. It was the drum and bass track that won the Eurovision, for example. And what happened after breakbeats in the 90s? Like, you know, you had jungle, you had drum and bass. What happened after that? They slowed it down and made big beat instead, you know. So we already have a big beat song that's unreleased. We were supposed to have that on darkpulse, but we choose to not have it on there because it stood out too much from the other tracks. But I think the next record, it's probably gonna include even more of the style of maybe Chemical Brothers, The Prodigy, Fatboy Slim, you know, all those bands. It's gonna, or an artist. So definitely gonna explore that area a little bit more. Maybe not on every track, but you're definitely gonna hear more of that 90s vibe going on the next record. And it's fun because it's also, I've listened a lot to Big Beat, but I haven't until we made that song like 2 years ago. Actually, it's been around for 2 years. It's on my computer, but it's gonna be released at some point. It's a bit weird. But then we have to learn how to do big beat, and it was not super hard, but it's not easy either. You have to have you have to know what you're doing and have a knowledge of the genre. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
It's evocative of kind of like sort of when they changed things, obviously like the Roland TV 303, which was brought in to replace the bass guitar basically, and how that have changed the genre and you know, now you're starting to get remakes of it. They've made more affordable versions.
Yeah.
And people are more playing about with it. You've got things like Witch House coming out, and you know, you've got all sorts of really strange genres. I mean, I saw the Prodigy in 2006 when they released Invaders Must Die, and I was at a festival. It was one of those times where you have just gone, that's it. I had trashed my life. I went to a festival. I had like £100 to see us the whole weekend, including me travel. And I was like, I'm just going to do everything I can and just see everything I can. And I remember seeing like, I can't remember who was on it as well. There was like Strapping Young Lad. There was a few black metal bands. Strapping Young Lad. I think Satyricon were on. There was a few other bands.
Satyricon. They were great. That was when they released King. They released that was a couple of years earlier with Satyricon. But I think the best song is King, the poppy black metal song they had. I think it's so.
I mean, that was my uni years.
Old Satyricon is I mean, around the early 90s there. I think they're the best, but yeah.
Well, the North and
a great band. It sounds like a super fun festival to be at.
It was a great year. It was a really, really great year. It was one of those special, like you said, it was one of those special moments in my life. Unfortunately, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I had a little incident where I found the most raviest looking people ever. And, you know, it's the Prodigy. And I was like, I want to dance because I like to dance. Like, if I go anywhere, I'm going to dance. That's it. I can be sober. I'm going to dance. And there was like I say, there was like so many cool bands on. I don't know if that was I think Rage Against the Machine were the year after, and there was like a band called Society One on that year. That the guy that they had, he hung himself on like meat hooks on the stage, and he was swinging backwards and forwards on the stage. Like it was just a crazy year for music, and like a crazy year for genres clashing. Pendulum were on. It was that whole kind of, so you had this huge mixture of like black metal on one side and then like these beaty kind of really dancey things. Anyway, I divulged to try not to embarrass myself on the internet. These people had something called Skittles sweets. I don't know if you have them in Sweden. Little like fruity sweets, and I was like, oh yeah, they offered us one.
It
At that
wasn't.
time, yeah, they offered us one, and do you want some
What
sweets?
happened
And
an hour after that?
what happened an hour after that, I don't know. But my friend found me talking because the festival went apart. My friend found me talking to a riot dog, going, "Shh,
Oh
don't
shit.
tell." But not intentional. I do. I'm a
No, no,
very
no,
well,
no, no.
very well behaved human being. But
Don't
yes,
eat candy from strangers, you know.
I distinctly remember being in my bikini top in front of Keith Flint like this,
Oh my.
absolutely listening to Baby's Got a Temper, and it being like one of the most amazing experiences of my life until the
Yeah.
next day when I had to go to work because I was stupid and didn't book the day off. So yeah,
Oh.
um,
That must have been a sweaty one.
it was a very interesting time of my life. And yeah, no, I went home. I did go home the night. My friend took us home on the night time because the festival, Donington Download Festival. I don't know if you've heard of it. We have a big festival in the UK that's kind of like a mixed genre festival.
I played Download
Yes, you did.
with Ghost back in 2014.
Stop blaspheming on my
Baby
channel.
Metal was there too.
I left the music industry, photography wise. I left the music industry in 2012. So
It's right by Donington Castle, right? The Donington
yes,
Castle. Yeah, exactly.
yes,
With Bruce Wayne mansion in one of the movies, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part of the country. But yeah, like the
Yeah, it's
festival,
amazing. Amazing. There was a lot of
unreal.
people there. It must have been like 60,000 people, 70,000, even more. I think it was
Huge.
huge. Yep. Yeah, it
You
was a
played to some
big app.
huge audiences, and I never got to see you play bass, which as a bass player, I just feel like I've been robbed. Thank you very much. Like it's my own fault. I turned the contract down for Sonisphere 2013 to photograph it.
Oh.
So yeah,
Jeez.
I missed seeing you play bass, which
Oh,
sucks.
bad. I mean,
It sucks.
well, it probably was a good show. It was.
Thanks. So going back to this whole kind of thing of me embarrassing myself live on the internet that'll probably get clipped and posted forever. The other bands that sort of this album sort of really, but I mean you mentioned there is a few little like Nine Inch Nails sounding parts in there that are probably not intentional, but that it does like particularly I think Golden Gate.
Hmm?
That one. I don't know, there's just something about it. It just has that
Yeah.
pull. Do you know
Yeah,
when
it's
Bowie?
Nine Inch Nails is like, of course, you can't avoid, it's a fantastic band, one of the best bands in the industrial genre, of course, of all time, since the genre started in the 80s or late 70s. So of course I listened a lot to Nine Inch Nails, particularly love. I jokingly used to say, "What is the best record, Nine Inch Nails record?" And everybody says, "Okay, Downward Spiral." But then I say, "I think it's Antichrist Superstar that's the best Nine Inch Nails record." Yes, I really think that's the best
Best Nine Inch Nails
they've
record.
done.
And if that's not the most nerdy joke I think I've ever heard, then
Uh,
it's
but yeah, I love Downward Spiral also, of course. But I think, yeah. I love the Fragile too. I love Predator Hate Machine. I mean, of course. So of
I
course
mean,
he has a special place in my synth heart.
as a sort of thing. There's an influence. I mean, obviously for me,
Of
it
course.
it sounds really tacky, but Closer. I'm sorry, I was out clubbing. Closer would come on. It was a free for all. In one respect, you have a song on this new album that is
Mm.
not, in my opinion, and my opinion could be wildly wrong, is not too far away from something as filthy as Closer.
Mm. Yeah, you have some. I mean, Closer is, yeah, of course. He's very he's saying what he wanna do in that song, of course. Uh, I think we are more subtle, at least, we're not right on the nose.
No,
So, but still, of course, we go there. I think in Golden Gate you can find some really, if your mind is open enough, you can hear. But actually, when you actually listen to it, what does it mean? But if you know what we mean, what I mean, and then you know, and then it's going. It's we went out on the line a little bit there, and I love that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes,
It's like I said, you're not afraid, and that is so important. And I think this sort of comes into, a lot of art and stuff. You've got to push the boundaries. If you don't, where are you? What, you can just recreate the
Of
same
course.
stuff over and over again. Where are you? I
I
mean,
think
is
it's
there
fun
any?
because if you can cover it up a little bit, like give it a little bit of makeup, the lyrics. I don't like when you get everything explained, like it's right in your face. That can be fun sometimes, and it can be an effect that you want sometimes, of course. But I like when you have to, you know, it's what is it really? But that when you understand, then you're like, okay. But I'm not gonna explain anything. It's up to everybody's mind to determine. And if you have a mind and you know what it's about, then it stands for you.
Thanks, just it's my filthy mind. It's fine. It's a good job you didn't name Golden Gate after the Kit Kat Club because it wouldn't have sounded the same. So
Oh,
um,
exactly. But yeah, we everybody who's been to Berlin knows those places. And of course, I try not to explain too much of the songs I
don't
write,
don't.
but of course, Golden Gate is also a club in Berlin.
Yes, it is, and
And
Berlin's a
it is
magical
and
place.
it is it is the if you want just uh you know uh German techno, just the way it should be, like nothing more, nothing less, just like the beat going, and you want to be groped, then you go there. Yeah, it's.
Just go out in
Have you
Newcastle.
been?
It's quite all right. You get grew up in Newcastle. It's absolutely fine.
Okay, yeah.
Um, any
May-
any other
next-
any other influences like that musically? Because like when I listen to sort of stuff, some of the stuff that comes to mind, like Infected Mushroom, Juno Reactor, things like that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say, because Infected Mushroom is not only a music making band, they also made a plugin called the uh, what is it called? It's a vocal effect plugin called. Damn, I should know. I know it, but I just forgot about it. It's a plugin. Check on the left corner, and here's the link to the infected mushroom. No, uh, exactly. So, manipulator,
Hmm.
and it's basically used on every priest track. That effect plugin on the voice, because the effects for the Mercury voice, which has always been there since the first album with the other singer, and that's continued to be used. Not so much on darkpulse actually, because more clean vocals on that one, but the effect chain has been including that plugin,
Mhm.
the affected mushroom plugin. So they're starting to do really. I think they must have been earning more money on that plugin than maybe on records. That's just my guess, but so in a way, yes, we're very inspired because we're using their plugin on almost every Priest track.
Which is
I
so
listen,
cool.
mostly listen to Effective Mushroom back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when they were like a goatrance band. You call it goatrance, psytrance back in those days. But they, of course, evolved into something else now. So, but back in then, you listen to Effective Mushroom, Astral Projection, hallucinogen, all those kind of stuff. It was very popular back in the late 90s. So
Which
not
is
so
a
much
sort.
now, actually. Yeah.
No, it's starting to leak back. I know Kirsty Harkenshaw from Opus 3. I think they're
Yeah, yeah.
starting to come back. And I know obviously Infected Mushroom is still going, they're still touring. And then Orbital are touring at the moment as well with their sort of green and brown, aren't they? So
Yeah, they are. And I actually went to see them in New York before the US tour started. So,
no.
yeah, so I saw them live doing both green and brown album at Webster Hall in New York. It was fantastic.
Yes.
Uh, and of course, you name Opus 3 because their track is sampled and used in Halcyon On and On, of
Yes.
course. and it was a fantastic experience, and I was there with my girlfriend, and my dad was there too, and another friend, which wasn't as into orbital as I am. So it was a fantastic experience to be there and watch it with some close people, you know? It
Just
was
magical.
magical, yes. I seen them 2 times before that. One time in Stockholm and one time in Berlin also. So it was my third time seeing Orbital. I should have watched them more, but when I was younger, I didn't have so much money, so I couldn't travel around and see them. And they played in Sweden once, and I didn't have the money to actually to take the trip to that festival they're actually playing. So I was devastated back then, but now I had the time to see the Green and Brown album like in its entirety on stage. So I'm very happy, and they used old gear also.
Oh, you're
So
joking.
no, they had a shit ton of old gear with them. I saw the pictures from the airport, and they actually had like they had a like old 909s, 303s. The fucking ARP was there, you know. It was like they had all the gear, and I think they can't bring everything. Of course, no electronic band can bring everything, so they had to. Every electronic band has to have backtrack, but it sounded really, really uh, like it was live, you know. So it was great. I can if you see that Orbital plays somewhere around where you are, to everybody, just buy the ticket. Don't think about it. Just go there. You know, you won't regret it.
I'm glad you've said that because they're playing a festival in the Northeast
Just
in two
go.
months.
Just go. Just
And
go.
I've been putting it
Especially if
off.
they do the old stuff, especially if they do this old school stuff, because that's the gold, I think. Not, I mean, I like their newer stuff too, uh, of course, but the impact the older stuff had on me and how it sounds, and now the retro is coming back into style. So I think it's like it's the perfect time to see them right now. And
So
I
I'll
actually
put a
met
link.
I
Go on.
actually met Paul Hartnell, one of the brothers, in Berlin very shortly because I was
No,
so shy. I was very shy, and my friend went directly up to him and started talking. And I stood like 15 meters away, like, and then my friend said like, "Hey, come over here. Come over here and talk a bit." I was no. I have nothing to say. I have nothing. But eventually, I walked over, and then when he asks, like, and I feel embarrassed, you know. And he asked, "What's the favorite Orbital record?" And and I just name dropped like early stuff. They just released Wonky, which is a great album. It's produced by Flood, for example, who produced Downward Spiral, and of course Violator with Depeche Mode, and Melancholy and Infinite Sadness with Smashing Pumpkins. And he produced the Wonky album, which is fantastic. There's some fantastic tracks on it, but I mean, you can't really compare it to the four first albums in the 90s. I think that's groundbreaking material, you know. So it was fantastic. So yeah, sorry about that, and I'm rambling.
no, don't apologize. This album that you're releasing for
Yep.
me is has evokes all this stuff that I love, and I can hear it. And I'm sure other fans will be able to hear it. And I'm sure the fans that you attract and the ones that I talk to and the ones that I talk to in Discord can all hear it. And it's not that you're copying anywhere because this album is so very different to anything I've heard as well. But there's nods and there's like little bits of love for it. And there's this whole concept of like, but it's something new and it's something different. And it is a very different album. And I put a comment on Facebook this morning. Somebody was having a whinge, a classic Facebook whinge, and I hate social media for this, even though I do this. And there were, I said, look, it's a very, very, very clever album. You
Thank you.
know, it's got to be listened to and it's got to be enjoyed. You can't just slap it on once and go, oh well, that's that. Then it's got so much in it.
I
That
I
just
hope if I hope that people feel that way, that they want to revisit it and find the little gems that are in there that you don't feel the first time. I think the best albums is you have some tracks that are direct, and then you have some tracks that are gonna be the growers, and maybe they will end up to be the tracks you love the most in the end, you know. So thank you. Sorry, I interrupted you
No,
again
no,
here.
no. Like I said to you before, just interrupt us. I'm very open about my neurodiversity. Everybody knows, who knows me, as I have ADHD. And if you let us off on a track on something that I like, I'll be off forever. So just interrupt us, man. It's fine.
Cool.
Um, the album cover is done by Cyber
Yep.
who is this incredible kind of it does this like almost comic book style kind of like unreal art, and it's like I'll hold it up so people can see it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Uh, Cyber Nosferatu, aka his real name Johan Åberg, Swedish guy, lives in Stockholm. I actually met him for the first time at our last show in Stockholm, actually.
No way.
Yeah, so we invited him and his girlfriend, and he came backstage for a quick chat. Of course, when you play in Sweden, it's a lot of people around all the time, and it's hard to find time to actually be able to speak to everybody that you want to. But we had a short chat, and we also discussed to work more in the future also for the next album. So he's great, and he does also, he's very pop cultural. His motifs are from movies often, you know, RoboCop, Batman, Stay Puffed Guy from Ghostbusters, stuff like that. And the funny thing, I like to watch behind the scenes material, and this 4-hour documentary about RoboCop called RoboDoc, like
I haven't
Robo
seen it. I haven't
documentary.
watched it yet.
Yeah, okay. I have it on Blu-ray here, and I was watching it like it's 4 hours long, so of course it gets late when you put it on at 12, then you watch it until 4 o'clock or something. Then what flashed by like 3 o'clock at night? Well, there was the Cyber Nosferatu RoboCop picture that it
No.
did. So I had to film that and like woohoo and send it over to Johan, and he said, "Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah, I granted them they could use that picture in the documentary." So it was pretty funny. So watch if you watch it. Sorry for spoiling that for you. I
No,
didn't
no,
know that
no.
you.
Fine. Oh, cool. I'll
It's a
watch it.
fantastic documentary. It's a lot of nice behind the scenes stuff, and you also get some inside information about Peter Weller on set, and you get everything you want in there. Just put it on. Just
Love a good doc. I watched I got the Hellraiser box set with the quadrilogy.
yeah,
With my favorite Hellraiser film, Bloodlines, and everybody takes a mick out of it for it. Sort of with that had
thanks.
a lot of the documentary work on as well, so that was really cool.
That I haven't seen so much. I've seen a lot of behind the scenes, but I tried to buy them on Blu-ray now. I haven't bought a box set yet. I was about to, but then like, should I buy a box when I already have? I can just buy one more movie, then I have the box, you know.
I
And I
get
have
it.
them both on DVD and now on Blu-ray as well. So now it's like, should I invest more? Yeah, no, yes. Well, we'll see. I probably will buy a box sometime.
This
But
one's worth it, I promise you. If you
yeah,
see it,
okay.
it's
Which
worth
one
it.
is it? Is it the Arrow box?
Yeah, hang on. 2
Yeah,
seconds. It's here.
box set, which is great.
This one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This
Arrow.
is Arrow, right? Yeah, exactly. Wow. Can you unbox it a little more?
Yeah, so it's got the major bits there.
And the movies inside, are they like in there or are they in separate? Oh, okay. All right. Damn.
And
Okay.
then you've got the box set in here,
Oh, we have such sides to show you. Okay.
right?
Wow. Oh yeah, it's the Arrow
There's
edition.
Bloodlines,
Yeah.
which everybody hates and I love because
Yeah.
it's so
Oh,
clever.
it's good.
And then
I
there's a
love the
book.
first and second one, of course. That I think nothing tops that, but Yeah.
No. Well, I've met Andy Robinson on numerous occasions at Star Trek conventions, and he is fabulous.
I
I've
actually
yet.
met Doug Bradley once.
No
Yeah.
way!
Yeah.
Oh my
He was at
God.
the show. We played in Dallas back in 2013, I think, or 14. And then it was my turn to take care of the guests. This was when I played in Ghost. So, and when you take care of the guests, it means that you have to get out of stage attire the fastest and get your regular clothes on so you can go out and welcome the guests.
Mhm.
And we took turns doing that in Ghost. So that was my turn in Dallas, and I went out to find Twiggy Ramirez and Doug Bradley standing outside. So
And
it
you're
was
like, oh,
it was
help.
pretty funny. So I was like, damn, I'm standing and staring into the eyes of Pinhead right now. It was like, yeah, pretty weird. Um, yeah, and it turned out he was from Liverpool, and funny enough, we played a cover of "Here Comes the Sun" from the Beatles, of course. And so then I said, yeah, you must have liked the cover we made. And then he said, like, yeah, we played a cover of the Beatles. The Here Comes the... Yeah, I was steeped in the Beatles. I was steeped in them. I'm from Liverpool. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
He's
Side trivia here.
no, I need to meet him. I absolutely need to meet him. I know the whole art thing and the whole like visual side of it. I mean, I know, is it important for you to keep it within Sweden, or do you look outside of Sweden for artists? And
No, I've actually asked Jeff Darrow 2 times to do our covers, but his first time he probably was too expensive, and my offer was way under his his standard. Second time I thought I could match up and give him a proper offer, and but then he said, I'm burning myself out, I'm working on a movie here, and turned out that was Matrix 4, because he did all the concept art for Matrix and everything.
yeah,
So but then I said, like, yeah, but you won't get rid of me. I will continue asking you. And but I think he moved to Paris now, and I'm gonna contact him again, actually. But now I have Johan Cybernosferatu now. We have I want to continue to work with him, but I'm gonna maybe for the next album, maybe I will throw out the question to Jeff again, Jeff Darrow, and which is one of my favorite comic artists. And I mean, if you watch his stuff, if you're not familiar with his work, I mean, just check out Hard Boiled, that actually Frank Miller wrote the story for, and he drew it. I mean, the amount of detail is unprecedented. I mean, you can't, and it's cyberpunk as it's at its finest right there. So it's like, yeah, I mean, check it out. Nothing more to say. I can't.
no,
I mean,
no,
no words can. It's a great piece of art. Whatever he's doing is like super fantastic.
because comic books are important to you, aren't they? They're an important part of, not only you can tell with the artwork. I mean, I can tell with the artwork and stuff, but comic books are important to you in general, aren't they? They are
Yeah, I grew up with them, and I was a collector of them since early age. And I learned a lot of. I draw a lot, and I learned the basics of drawing from comic books, and I love to emerge into stories like that. And there was mostly superhero story. I mean, when you're a kid, you like that stuff. Uh, but yeah, still try to read newer comics also. There's brainier stuff, of course, the Alan Moore stuff, and so that you can get into. That's basically like reading a novel. It's you know. I love Swamp Thing. No, I think Swamp Thing is one of my favorite characters all time. I think it's fantastic. And yeah, it's a lot of I love Paul Pope's stuff also. The Batman Year 100 and There's a lot of Frank Miller, it's good stuff, good inspiration also. Because it's when you write songs, I think it's good to not go to music for your inspiration. Maybe you should go to movies and comics instead, because then otherwise you're gonna repeat what somebody else did. If I'm writing lyrics, why should I listen to other people that write lyrics? Because then I'm gonna copy Bruce Springsteen or whatever, Bob Dylan or something. You go to the best, but then you realize that what Bob Dylan does, this is poetry. And why not go to another poet then that's maybe not into music to make your blend of inspiration a little more interesting. So, and
Finding
comics
those influences, yeah.
and comics and books and stuff. And I think actually the title Dark Pulse, that the album is called, that's from when I reread Dune now before the movie came out, And when I say reread, because when I was younger, I tried to read it and I didn't finish it, but now I did. So, but there's the sand thumpers that lures the worms, and I think Frank Herbert described it. Yeah, it's a dark pulse coming through the sand or whatever it was. So that's I write that shit down, and then I like, okay, that's a good title. I can use that for a song or whatever. Then it turned out to be the title of an album. So I try to get tiny stuff from what I read, and if I watch a movie, I always try to use notifications on the phone or have a pen and paper ready so I can write down stuff, because that's if you're already enjoying yourself watching a movie, why not? It's so easy just to write a line down from the movie or something, and that's gold for you when you're starting to write the song or something. Then you can revisit all that stuff and just have fun with it, mix it together, because then you don't even know yourself what you get everything from, because then you're doing a blend of everything. So you can't remember where you get all the shit you write down, so then you don't care anymore. Maybe you steal and maybe you do whatever, but you don't care because you're having fun with what you're creating, and then you mix it up with your own experiences and feelings and your own taste. And it's actually your taste that's going to determine the outcome, not exactly what you're taking from, because different people will take different parts from a book, different lines from a movie to choose to write down for your memory. So it's in the end, it's always your taste, and your taste can be cultivated or destroyed. Because if you listen to radio all day long, your taste is gonna be destroyed. You're gonna write generic shit if you only listen to top 40.
Yeah.
There's some good tracks there, of course, but do you want to go that way? I don't think so. I mean, I don't I try to just listen to certain stuff and to take in certain stuff, so then I can at least did my part on my taste, to
And it
deciding what.
shows. It shows. It shows. It totally does. You can see your influences. I can pull out these things for an interview because it shows in your work. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it does. It's
Oh,
there.
I'm just rambling here.
Like
Yeah.
you're not. Well, both the same. It's absolutely fine. I mean, what you're saying is right. As a visual artist myself.
I think it is, but maybe some people will disagree, but I don't know.
Well, then they can
That's what
disagree.
stands for them. They can have their own podcast interview and
Have
tell
their
them.
own podcast interview and go and have a Facebook whinge where somebody else can comment on it.
Yeah.
As a visual artist, so like obviously the same as potentially, like Seven or SNEP will probably find their own influences in different things. As a photographer, for me, I'm very visually coloured, and I look at film a lot. My favourite directors have very, very distinct colours in their films. Like Kubrick,
Yeah.
and things like that. And also, there's a director called Ben Wheatley, and I think he's well known, but he's kind of gone under the radar. And the thing is
And
about Ben Wheatley,
what have he done? And I recognize his name. What's
High Rise. So he did High Rise. He's
I
done Free Fire. He's just done the Meg 2. He did the remake of Rebecca, which is one of my favorite books of all time. Daphne du
Okay,
Maurier's
so
Rebecca. Yeah.
he's around now. He's a
He's a
contemporary.
contemporary director, and he does these most visually stunning films, and they are very controversial. Like at the release of High Rise, people walked out because they just couldn't get their head around it. But the thing is, the book is it's J.G. Ballard. It's J.G. Ballard is notoriously kind of complex and in depth. And the film, they always said it could never be made, and there is Ben Wheatley making this incredible interpretation of High Rise.
Yeah, I
And it's
gotta see that
very,
one.
oh yes,
Write it
absolutely.
down.
Yeah,
Write it down.
one of my favorites. You know, he's a comic book artist as well. He does comic books. He did a sci-fi, and I missed buying it as well. Believe this or not, right? What a donkey I am. I forgot to. I just missed buying it all. It was called Cosmic Music with a K. Cosmic Music, and it was this
Nice.
sci-fi cyberpunky kind of comic book with an audio soundtrack that went with it that you listened to while you read the comic book.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And and he's done another one called Jutsu. So not only is he directing these like visually stunning films, which he's done a couple of comedies
Yeah,
as
I
well
gotta
called
check it out. It rings a bell. I might like. I don't
Possibly.
remember everything I see,
How can
but
you?
it rings a bell. If I haven't already seen something, I heard about it. His name rings a bell, but I'm thank you for the tip. I'm gonna check it out.
But he is like his work again is just visually stunning. I think it's really important that when you're looking at influences and nerd culture and things like that, and you see these artists that are there that are diversifying and not only directing like films that go to the box office like the Meg 2 and stuff, but then they have their own comic book on the side and they're living their true life like you are, and you're a real inspiration in that, sort of the whole I'm going to take what I like. I'm going to take my comic books. I'm going to take my music tastes and my love of what I do, and I'm going to chase it, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to quit, and I'm not
Yeah,
going to bow down to when people are pushing me down and putting me in a corner and saying, no, you can't do that, or when people are frightened because your talent is there. And it's like it's a real inspiration to be a fan of your band and to listen to the music
thank
that
you.
you write, and it's
I
it's
just
an
try to do our best and have fun in the process, and I mean, it's nice to take everything that you loved as a kid, and just try to refine it in certain ways and mix it up with other stuff too. So it's really nice and it's endless. If you have a base like knowledge of some stuff, like comics maybe, and or big beat or whatever, it's like then you can easily just address it when you're trying to create, and it's a fun way of doing it, I think, really. So having fun, and it shouldn't matter in the first. Of course, you care about what people think after you release something, but you shouldn't include that when you're creating. That's for you, or you should have fun and do something that you want to see, you want to hear, and then it's up to other people to talk about it. If some people doesn't like it, okay, then fine, all right, it's good. You don't have to. It's just fun to have this inspiration that you love, and then you mix it together. It's fun.
it's doing what you love, and this is something I've reiterated across my podcast. It's doing what you love. It's
Mm.
appreciating, not just not trying to be a rock star. It's doing what you love, what makes you happy, what listening to something and going, I want to do that, I want to create that, I want to be that, I want to put my soul into that, and that makes you happy. Because I think when you don't, and when you sort of follow this path of sort of putting yourself in a box that is just one thing, I think it can lead you in down a path that of wasted talent and wasted passions. You've got to be passionate about what you like and what you do. And I love music.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily the best musician, so what do? I talk about it, because what am I really great at? Talking forever. So
me me too, believe me, I can also go on, but it's yeah, it's nice to actually be at the point in life that you can actually do this kind of stuff and feel confident about it. Of course, I think I don't speak only for myself and saying you can be a bit insecure, especially earlier in life, than what the people gonna think or what. But I seem to get a pattern here, like trial and error. Like if I do stuff that I think somebody else would like, I always feel bad, and it don't come out as good as I wanted it to. And then I lie awake at night, why did I do it? You know. But if you just follow your own vision and your own gut feeling, and that's also what that some people can think you're problematic, you know, because you don't go in their direction. That's necessarily because you have a vision, you have a gut feeling that this direction is probably the right one, and you're following that, and you don't deviate from that too much, no matter what somebody says. Then some people gonna think you're a fucking asshole. Of course,
Well,
that's
you're
just the way.
not.
No, of course, I know that. I've tried to be kind to everybody. So, but some people will think that, but that's maybe more about their egos than me in that case, maybe. Or, you know, they wanted more power and they didn't get it, and then they sad because of that. But
Exactly.
uh, what?
Exactly. And this is
Yeah,
the point.
so I can't care about that. I can't take that into to consideration when you creating something that you have to stand for and that you have to live with for the rest of your life, you know.
What
So,
you do is incredible.
oh,
I
thank you.
only have a couple more questions because I've kept you talking for ages, but um what's next? Because you've done this amazing album. This is out on this episode will air, and this is out the next day. This is out the 31st of May. And you
Oh,
have to buy
cool.
it.
On release day.
It's day before. I'm going to release this the night before.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
this
Perfect.
album, anybody who's watching, buy it. Just buy it, right?
The
Don't ask
album
any
is
questions.
called
Dark
Dark
Pulse.
Pulse, and it's out on May 31. You can pre-order it now on every platform. It's going to be out on every platform, and go to your local record store and order it, or go to Amazon or your store of choice, to Rough Trade or whatever. It's going to be there. And if it's not up on the shelves, just tell them to put it up there, you know. And we're very proud of it and excited to finally let everyone hear what we've been doing for the last 1.5 year, and except for touring, that is that
Except for touring
yeah
and living on the road. Each one of
yeah.
you, each one of your albums has been different, and I think the trick is right. If you want a fan point of view, get each one because each one is something different. You're going to find links between them all, but each album has something else to offer. So you may listen to Dark Pulse and it may be the best thing you've heard. You may listen to Cyberhead, which is one of my favorites, that
Thank
being one
you.
of them as well. Cyberhead is an incredibly it's the, if I want to use a Trek analogy, it's the Deep Space Nine of albums.
Wow,
It's
I
incredible.
appreciate, because I love this Deep Space Nine. It's probably my favorite Star Trek show. You know, I love the industrial feel of it. But yeah, it's continued. Sorry,
No, no,
Cyberhead.
no, 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 no.
It's
Talk about Trek all you
no,
want.
but
We'll just
for me, I would like to hear. It's the Deep Space Nine of Star Trek. It's Cyberhead. I would love to hear why you think that is.
why. So when I to go to the Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when I spoke to Ira Stephen Barrett at a convention, he was like, "It's this is he says the problem with Deep Space Nine was it was too clever when it came out. It came out and it was way ahead of its time. It was so beautifully made and so beautifully written, and it had so much care for each bit involved. And when I first heard Cyberhead, it was, I mean, I'm a very 80s chick. My music is like talk as well. I love stuff
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
like a hard Depeche Mode, things like that. Bronski Beat, things me as
Yeah,
well. The Cyberhead album is so very beautifully written and it works so well and it flows.
thank you.
And every part of it is so intricative, I think is the word, to each other. And you've got different bits in it that go from different levels as well. It's got and it's the same as Deep Space Nine. You can't just
Yeah,
watch a bit of Deep Space Nine and go, oh, that's that. You've got to listen to this. You've got to watch the whole thing, and the same with the Cyberhead album. You've got to listen to the whole album. You've got to understand how it flows, and you've got to understand that I know when I read back, it wasn't that well received when it first came out, which as an artist must have been hugely disappointing.
Yeah, but it was like we released it, and thank you for your kind words about that. I'm very proud of that myself. I think it's we really went all in on that album. I think it's the most expensive album we also did because we had like different people working on it, and we really, because it was the first album that we did since the first singer left. So we really wanted to make it really great, a really great sonic experience, but also to present me as a new singer. And we also wanted to change direction because I think if we try to remake New Flesh one more time, but with a different ensemble, we would have shot ourselves directly in the foot. I think it was good that we did Cyberhead and made it a totally different animal, which I'm very proud of. And I think it's going to be a grower. And now, actually, yesterday, it's like it's starting to sell more. Cyberhead is starting to sell really great. So now we're out of stock. So we have to restock Cyberhead. And we didn't think that. We had tons of boxes with Cyberhead, like because of course people was like disappointed because they wanted another New Flesh, or people heard some rumors about the singer leaving, and I think also the former members of Priest, they went out to really make sure that everybody knew that they weren't in the band anymore, and then there's rumors starting. And so when Cyberhead came out, and I was starting to take over the live shows, of course, because as a singer, and I wasn't trained that well back then. So I think there was so many factors that that came into the same place that made people disappointed on that album. But I think, and I sincerely think this, when people are gonna revisit it with more open eyes and ears, if they want to, they will find a really great pop album right there. And I think I'm still very proud of it. I can listen to it today. I'm not ashamed of a bit of that album. I stand for every second of it, and I think it's a good ride, and that's maybe we will revisit that style again in the future. But I'm very proud. It has a special place in my heart, and I'm very glad we did it, and it was also good for our self-confidence that, like, okay, we're on the road. We're not letting all this shit around us, take us down. Here's another album, boom.
And it's a good one. And that was the same with Deep Space Nine. That's the comparison. When
Of course, Deep Space Nine. I forgot to talk about that.
No. It's
Fantastic. I
fine
have to
because
rewatch it. I have to rewatch it from the start again, almost.
I'm gonna have to redo Voyager. I'm gonna have to redo Voyager, and I need to finish. Discovery.
Oh yeah.
I won't pay for Paramount Plus. I'm not going to go political.
Okay. I haven't seen the last. Actually, I'm disappointed at myself, but I didn't have the time. But I want to watch it when in the right time. I think I only seen 4 seasons of Discovery. I think there's 6, right? Or 5, 6. Yeah.
5. This is the fifth one's just out,
oh.
so it's on.
Oh, I haven't seen the last one then. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5th one's out now, and that's it finished. Yeah. How dare you write an album as good as this and miss out on Star Trek? Entirely.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Shit. My priorities were completely wrong. Yeah. I'm apologizing sincerely. Yeah.
Thank you. Apology accepted. I mean, again, like I've said, everything you do, I'm a huge fan. I got on a plane, I flew over to see you in your home gig, what I'm going to ask is what's next and when you're coming back to the UK so it doesn't cost us as much.
We have in conversation with our booker, it's it's gonna be a European and UK tour starting in October, going into November.
Excellent.
And so that's my guess that we're gonna. I don't know which cities or anything yet, but we're working on it.
It's okay,
And
because if you're in the UK, I'll just come to all of them if I can.
perfect. Yeah, you do that. No, so that's, and then we go into the US in the spring again for a bigger tour. So we have a little time. When I say time off, I say it with quote unquote, but it's gonna be a fun time because now finally we're gonna have some time, a larger amount of time to actually dig deep into our new material and to start to at least record the bulk of a new album. So, and also explore some side projects. Actually, I have some side projects I really want to explore also. So it's gonna be exciting times. And of course, also we gonna probably go over to the US and record an EP, maybe
Yes.
in a studio in Los Angeles. That might only be a single or like 4 tracks or something, because we're only gonna be there for a week. So that's exciting, and that's probably gonna be produced by Amir Darak, who had worked on in Orgy, or also produced bands like the Eels, and engineered bands like the Eels. I think I have a Grammy for engineering and stuff like that. So he's a good friend of ours that's gonna dig his teeth into Priest for a little while. So for first time we're not gonna have Simon, but this is also only an experiment to see where we're gonna end up with this collaboration. So it's gonna be exciting and some fun times, you know.
But that's so
So
cool to hear.
that's what's up, and we're gonna start working on the next incarnation also of Priest, which takes time. So we have a year deadline. We're gonna start now after we ship out all the Indiegogo stuff. We're gonna directly start to talk about with the costume designer and the mask designer, and starting a 1-year project basically until we probably should have the finished products in next summer. And then we can start to talk to make the photographs, and so then it's another story to so everything is going to be behind closed doors, but it's going to be a fun and process. And when we decide to launch it, I think nobody's going to be disappointed. I'm very excited.
I'm sure we won't. I'm sure we won't. And I'll just book you in for a year, yeah? So in 1 year, you're back on my podcast if I'm still running it, yes?
Please do. Then I will have more information about that for sure.
Class. It's going to be very exciting. I find everything you do quite exciting. I think it's there's going to be that whole waiting period. I know a lot of fans get a bit antsy and they're like, oh, what's this? When's it going to be new? But they don't understand the process that comes underneath it as well, and the time it takes.
It takes
And the
time.
amount of...
It takes time. But maybe AI will take over, Maybe I just have to type in some stuff in a computer.
No, because you're too talented, and don't ever let that take away from you. You're too talented, and the artists that you use are too talented.
I think it's interesting to use it. I use it when I write lyrics a little bit, but only as a analyzer or a corrector of what I'm doing. So it can detect if I do something wrong grammarly, or I used to ask my English speaking friends actually to send them the lyrics, and then they have to read it and come back to me with corrections. But now I can only use ChatGPT to do that. So it's I take the labor off my friends. Just
if it's easy to forget though, you're doing it in a second language. Like when I was in Sweden, everybody spoke English. For me, it was just it's off the top of my head. Yeah, it's easy to forget.
Thank you. We have to, but it's only 10 million people speaking Swedish, so we would be pretty handicapped if we don't have another language. So thank you, but yeah, but we start early, and we're indoctrinated by American movies, since kids. So they make sure that everybody can speak English in Sweden.
Lastly, I always ask this, and it is something that has took a few of my guests back, and it's got me into massive trouble as well, which was hilarious. As a fan, or as as me, as you've come to know me, you know, is there anything you want to ask me at all? Open, honest,
Oh,
absolutely anything at all.
oh, I haven't think I know a bit about you, and I know you're a Trekkie, and I know, but let's see. What I have thousands of questions, but what's it? You're from Newcastle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when in Newcastle, what's your favorite place or thing to do in Newcastle? As a
It's an interesting one because it depends on what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I live next to the sea and I like to go and swim in the sea because I am very outdoorsy and I don't do well with cities. But
But
if I'm so,
that's pretty cold, right? It's
yeah,
cold in
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's the North Sea.
yeah,
It's freezing. I mean,
yeah.
don't get us wrong. I'm not one of these people that goes into my swimming cozy, and there's a few people that do that, and I'm like, oh no, I've got a proper wetsuit, um, and a bodyboard and stuff like
Oh,
that, and that's
that's nice.
cool. In Newcastle city centre, we have a bar called Trillions.
Trillions.
Trillions Rock Bar, yes,
Trillion
and
Akbar.
yeah, and that is the coolest little rock bar. And I've had I mean, a lot of the clubs that I went to, because I'm older, a lot of the clubs that I went to are gone now, but Trillions are still there, and there's a lot of happy memories there, and a lot of great bands that I've seen, a lot of good bands that play there, and a lot of good drinks. And it's inherently nerdy by its nature, the fact that it's called Trillions. It's sort of, it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy nod, so I love that about it. And
Yeah, I would love to
I'm
go there.
yes, yes, you
Would
would
be
love it.
fun.
There was a bar in Ling Shopping that kind of reminded me a little bit about Trillions. It's the one with the double toilet, let's put it that way, and I can't remember the name
Oh,
of it.
Monash.
That
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah.
kind of similar, that Trillions has like all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, yeah, because they have a lot of pictures of rock artists on the walls there. Yeah.
yes. In Trillions, a lot of the posters are they're posters of bands that I either saw or worked with back in the day when I used to help out with bands. And
What did
that's
you
really
do?
cool.
You worked with bands before. What did you do exactly?
Yeah, so I was a live music photographer and a bit of
Yeah.
writing reviews and a bit of stage hand and a bit of security and a bit of running around meeting guests and looking after them and
So you've
you know
seen you're part of rock and roll.
sort of. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot, my friend. The Newcastle music scene is incredibly cool and complex. Like I said, we've got just down the road Sunderland, where I went to university and I lived for a long time.
Yeah.
You've got By High from the Future Heads, who owns a pub there. You've got a great venue called the Fire Station that's got a few bands. Have just had Peter Hook and the Light on and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. Yeah. Peter Hook is he's from Manchester, right?
yeah, 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 Manchester, and it's just a generally cool place. I mean, I know when you played there, the venue was quite weird. It was the university. It wasn't probably the
Yeah,
venue I would
yeah,
have
we
picked.
played two. I think we played the university last time, but we also played another place down by the river.
The
I,
Riverside, yeah.
yeah, that was another type of venue. I think I like that one better, but
I like the
both were
Riverside.
good.
Of the only other place that I really love in Newcastle, we have some really great museums and really great art galleries, which I'm a big art buff. But there is a comic book store called there's two. There's the holy trinity of nerd shops. There is Geek Retreat, which is like a little cafe that sells like all sorts of really random things like Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. Then you've got Traveling Man, which is all your anime and all your
Trouble.
really cool comic books, yeah.
Mm.
And then there's Forbidden Planet, which is the big,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
and
chain, right? For
yeah,
I because I was in Newcastle and I bought my copy of the Incal, the Jodorowsky Mobius collaboration they did, which eventually inspired Blade Runner and so.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That one I bought there because I couldn't find that edition in Sweden because it's translated to Swedish, and of course here they want to sell the Swedish translation. So of course you can order it on the internet, the English, but then it was right there. So I bought it in some of the other two, not Forbidden Planet, but it was not a
Traveling Man.
cafe. So I guess it must have been
Traveling Man, it's got to have been. They're the one that do, like, these both do. I mean, I got a rare signed comic book from Forbidden Planet because Traveling Man didn't have it in. But I'll have to show you it. It's the Babylon 5. It's
Ooh.
Christina,
Ooh, yeah.
and that's signed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So that was quite cool. But the Traveling Man, I buy all the manga from for my little boy. So
awesome. Awesome. You have two boys.
Got one. Yeah.
You said boys, but then you mean your husband, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. In one. Got it in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Newcastle is a really great city, and I'm really blessed to live near it. And the same for Sunderland. You know, we the Northeast is a really great cultural place, and there's some really great people. Obviously, have to mention it's the home of Nerdy Up North, and where, I mean, I'll get wrong for saying Newcastle because they're all from Sunderland and Redcar and stuff. But you know, it's a really great city to hang out in, and there's some amazing stuff that comes out of it. And historically, some amazingly great bands that have come out of it. You know, particularly if you look at like Venom. And then the band that my uncle plays in, Spartan Warrior, they started in Sunderland and Newcastle. A lot of really cool metal bands have come out in Newcastle. Really, a lot of cool sort of.
I didn't know Venom was from Newcastle area.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know. That's cool. That's awesome.
They live not far from me. Same as Sam Fender. Sam Fender used to practice just down the street from my house.
Awesome.
It's really cool.
That's cool.
Mercury, you have been a joy, and I've kept you for ages, and I am so grateful to not only the music that you create and the fact that you are such a genuine, wonderful human being, and the art and the whole, having met you in person was a huge thing. I was very shy, and I get very nervous doing this. So thank you, and thank you for the awesome things that you do, and for taking the time to come on here when you are so busy and you work so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I have some stuff still to do, but I worked hard today, so I made sure I get the big bulk out of the way before but this was also a really nice interview, and thank you, Kirsty, for having me on your show. And really nice, lovely to meet you in Linköping, and hope we see each other more times.
Yes.
And thank you also for for your time here, and to go more in depth in an interview, which most interviews are pretty brief, and this was an opportunity to actually have to talk about topics that doesn't often come up, So I'm very grateful, and I had a really great time. And please, next time when we're doing our next album, then just hit me up and we have another conversation if you're up for it.
Yes, absolutely. And
Thank you.
I said, thank you. No, thank you. All the best. If you come to the UK, I'll probably just be following you around in me car or something like that.
Please do. And when we come over, I will let you know beforehand. And of course, we put you on the list and everything, we sort everything out, in that case. So thank you so much. And I will also say to all the listeners out there, to all of those who stick through our conversation here, this is a bit lengthy, but I hope you had a really great time. Also, feel free to check out our website, priestnexus.com, which you can see right there in the corner. And also check out our web shop, airghoul.com, which you can find some rarities, some old vinyls. Also, you can buy our new album, Darkpulse, right there. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot to us. And
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as I always say before we close it off, obviously behave, be good, and don't get caught. And if you get caught, you didn't happen. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.